Hi, and welcome to our mini-series on social media for beginners. My name is Charlotte, and I work for our Neu-Isenburg office in Germany. I'm happy to be here and hosting, and thank you for joining. Now, ever think how unfair it is that some of us are so online savvy, successful, and present, while the rest of us struggle to keep even a Facebook regularly updated? It can be so annoying. But nowadays, there's a certain business expectation about needing to know the difference between blogs, websites, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, you name it. Where does one start? Or moreover, why would you even want to? And is it really all just one massive time-consuming effort? Well, we're here to assure you and underline and hopefully convince you that social media is very beneficial and worth it. In this series, we're going to talk about some individual social media channels in more depth over the next few weeks, but tonight, this morning, wherever you are, we're going to kick off with a couple of fundamental things to do beforehand. We're going to talk about the value in creating a social media hub and how to get started with that. We're going to hit on what is social media and its benefits, creating a web identity, what to call yourself, choosing your platforms and channels, where you would like to be featured, marking your territory, for example, setting up a bunch of addresses, policy, rules, regulations, safety, etiquette, things to watch out for, and determining frequency, how much time to spend online. And then you can complete a checklist because we've got one for you just to keep you on track. So it's certainly not as intimidating as it seems. It may be a little time-consuming at first, but broken down into itty-bitty mini steps, it's all very manageable and will be a big advantage for your business. So let's start from the very beginning. What exactly is social media and why do we need it? Well, in a nutshell, social media is the collective name for dozens and dozens of different communication channels or platforms on the internet or web where we can reach out to our friends and customers and interact with them. And there's the key word, interact. We can chat and comment and share content, show things, promote our businesses visually. And why would we want to do that? Well, simply, you know it yourself, for speed and convenience. Most of us reach out to the internet instead of a phone book to find a local business or a product, or to learn a new skill maybe, or to find instant information about something. And nowadays, if a business or a service or a product is not in it, the internet, not the phone book, it practically does not exist to the outsider. And it's those faceless outsiders that we're all trying to reach and attract. So think about everything that you post on social media to do with your business will be instant advertising. The goal we ultimately want to achieve with all this is to convert our social media visitors into customers. Otherwise, we just end up being social entertainment, right? We're aiming to use all our chosen platforms and channels as a massive yet subtle advertising tool by throwing out regular bits of delicious bait into the wide unknown, hoping to attract and catch those big fish at the end of the day. So the technical term is actually social media marketing. And through telling our personal stories online and sharing our pictures, projects, promotions, product experiences, a whole bunch more, we can successfully connect with our customers, because online we can attract and reach out to way more visitors and customers faster than we would traditionally, just through, for an example, running a couple of workshops a week for 6, 7 people at a time. And through social media, we can build lasting relationships with our visitors and customers, as opposed to just saying goodbye and thank you at the end of the night and hoping that you'll see your guests again. And you can keep them regularly coming back for more by drip feeding them lots of lovely, exciting new stuff over several weeks, months, years even. You can gain a customer's trust and build your brand's credibility over time just by showing visitors in regular intervals that you are active and open for some good, honest, consistent business. By, for an example, frequently updating your content with fresh project ideas and products, and by simultaneously always assuring good customer support and service to go with it. Credibility is built on trust, and vice versa. The foundation of that trust is your credibility. Promoting yourself is also about presenting yourself digitally in a professional manner too. From the small things like making sure your spell checks are in working order, to fact-checking and regularly updating sources and news about current products and exciting promotions. It's all about staying on the ball. So essentially, you can build trust by making sure that you don't give your community a single doubt by believing that you're anything other than serious and having fun running your own remarkable business. Your site is going to be as active and as interactive as you are. So how exactly? Well, by starting with you. Your social media marketing will all be based on and around you, sharing who you are, what you can offer, your opinions, your recommendations, skills, strengths, just about anything. It's all about how you feel and how you make others relate to that. And you can do that by simply telling a bunch of little bite-sized stories, your personal stories. Now, according to Forbes, I quote, "The correlation between interest levels and purchase intent increases dramatically when a product is supported by compelling visual stories, told and recommended firsthand through a brand's influencer." And you are the influencer. For instance, after watching a video or seeing a picture of a pretty birthday card that you made for your aunt's 60th birthday, social media accelerates the speed of how quickly your readers or viewers can relate to it, like it, discover and learn more than they knew before, complete their research, that's if they were looking for something, and get instant recommendations, all in just a couple of minutes. And in those few minutes they have given you of their time to read or watch your post, you have increased their interest levels by more than 60%. And when a product that is quickly and concisely evaluated and promoted by a reputable online resource, that's you again, that in turn increases the potential that most customers will want to put that product on a wish list. If you're lucky and have checked most of your viewers' mental boxes, they will no doubt then purchase, which totally meets your goal. And you have won a new customer. Providing a good interactive customer care service thereafter will be sure to keep their attention a little while longer. If your postings, announcements, artwork, promotions, whatever, stories are interesting, credible, newsworthy, these customers will start shifting their interest towards, guess who? You. And now the original product need indeed turns out to be the following of you. You as an inspirational person who can reprove time and time again that they reliably know and understand their business. And all you have to do is to rewind, replay, and repeat. So as a quick summary, the power of social media, the power of it lies in procuring relationships, increasing awareness, and brings value to your business by generating sales through your success. If we want our businesses to get noticed nowadays, we have to catch up with the times, technology, and step up our online presence. It's not hard to figure out. To get a couple of basic social media channels up and running is actually very quick, free, and very easy. Now, before I continue with a few hows about setting things up, I just need you to note that we can only cover the basic steps here. Our advice here and in the following webinars is going to be very high level, very generalized, as every person, every country will have their differences, preferences, regulations, and we can't cover everything. So these next slides are our official notice in German and in French too. Feel free to go back and read the details, but it generally states everything to follow is a general overview. It's not an endorsement. We won't cover legal matters. It's not a technical training. You're responsible for complying with your own local rules and policies. And basically this webinar is for training purposes only. So once you've got that, we're going to recommend that you start out by setting up a social media hub or foundation. So what exactly does that mean? Well, the hub is your nucleus. This is going to be your permanent residence, so to say, to and from all other social media platforms. Typically, this hub would be where all your details sit. Current news, promotions, offers, links and information, contact and ordering details, your picture galleries, whatever you want to be on there. in an easy to find and central place where customers can do business with you. Keep in mind, earlier we said that our aim is to change visitors into customers. So this center point, wherever and whatever it is, should always host a visible reference to your online store and your latest offers. It doesn't actually matter where you start your online journey. Typically, a base is usually a blog. It could be a website, but blogs are generally more trendier and less static. It could also be Facebook, for an example. From our side, we'll be recommending setting up a blog, but as long as this place has the information about you or your business, it's whatever platform that you are comfortable starting out with. However, wherever you are, for maximum outreach and visibility, which is what you should be aiming for, metaphorically, wherever you are, you're going to need to wave an enormous "I am here" flag in your backyard, in hopes that someone drives by and sees it. Now, chances are the neighbors will, and they might spread the word locally, but ideally you should be putting up posters and billboards and advertising all across town and out of town in order to guide in as much traffic as you can, successfully in and out from all the other routes to your central point of business. In the case of social media, in order to attract people from out of town, or for an example, from other channels and platforms to your site, you actually need to be physically on those channels yourself in order to plant those billboards. And of course, the more you have, the merrier it is. Now, it doesn't matter if you don't actually use or frequent a particular social media channel regularly, nor does it have to be flooded with content from the onset. The whole point being is that you just have to be registered there at the beginning and initially guide and direct every visitor that you might get from all these places to your preferred site of business. And that's preferably the one that's going to have your online store. Now, that site could just be occupied with a single sentence. Thanks for visiting. Okay, 2 sentences. Thanks for visiting. You can find more information here, and add a link to your blog or website. Or you could say something like, new catalogs out, information, go to my blog. Whatever you wish, but something small. Take your time to build up your home base. Whatever this base may be, make it as beautiful and as detailed as you would like it to be, and then branch out. Get yourself some more property. Say with a summer house, Facebook, a townhouse, Instagram, or a house in the country, Pinterest, whatever, and build up and furnish one preferred platform after another. Become acquainted and confident and figuring out all their little quirks as you go. Remember, it's hard to run several properties at the same time. They will all need a bit of work and attention, and definitely updating now and then. Sometimes housekeeping is a good thing. So take it easy, one step at a time. And if and when you have multiple platforms all up and running, the next step will be to connect and link up all your other sites to each other. Now, that's going to mean mention on Facebook, go and check your Pinterest page. Your Pinterest page will have a link to your blog. Your blog should have links and buttons to all your platforms, and all of them should carry your contact details and a link to your shop. So this is the reason why having a central hub and a web presence on several other platforms is going to be important. But then in comes the next $1 million question. How will people actually stumble across you, even if you do have all this stuff? Well, it's a bit of a science in itself, but first and foremost, you're going to need to set up a web identity. Interestingly, to the layman, web address, web ID, web name, URL, domain name actually all mean the same thing. Once you've cut through that jargon, think of it as a digital coordinate pointing to a specific place on a huge map. It's an address that's going to help any seeker find you on the internet. Ideally, the address is going to be part of your branding too, by incorporating a tag name that people will remember, look out for, and find you. It's going to be that thing when you say, you can find me under www, or look up so-and-so on Instagram. And once you know what you want to be called, you can then go forth and secure a bunch of places using that same name. And why should it be the same name? Well, simply because humans are better at remembering one thing than half a dozen variations. And using the same name across all your accounts will make you instantly recognizable. Choosing your brand name seems quite an important step to take, but don't let your search for the mythical perfect domain and brand name cause you to procrastinate. Everything is possible to change, including domain names. So have a couple of alternatives in your back pocket to draw from. Keep that name short or catchy. Keep it memorable for others. Don't mess around with uppercases, lowercases, underscoring, long words, short words. No, short words are good. Hard words, ones with silent letters, accents, you know what I mean. People want to hear, write, and remember it without too much explanation. And then choose one that correlates to you and your business. Have that name represent you and what you want it to represent. For an example, if you already go under Bettina's Barking Beagles, for an example, and your homepage features your pack of cute beagles as your header, will an outsider stumbling onto your site wanting to find a local card making class associate your site immediately with stamping or your Stamping Up business? Probably not. And the same goes at the other extreme with Hannah's hand-stamped cards. Maybe it's too specific. Now, if I'm a scrapbooker who might not yet be into stamping and definitely not into card making, realize instantly that you would have lots of paper crafting products that would interest me. Now, however, if stamping and card making is your niche though, a name like that is pretty awesome. Predicting the future can be really hard, but try and think down the line a little. If you want to establish yourself as the card making, stamping address in your area, calling yourself Paris Stampers is great, but it may not work forever, especially if you're expecting to retire to the south of France in the near future. If you've built up your business for years under your maiden name and then suddenly change everything to your marital name, it might take additional time for older customers to find you again and others to get used to. There's quite a bit to think about. Just basically keep it simple. Using my own name, it would probably be Charlotte's Cards or something. I'd use it for my blog or my website, Facebook page, Instagram, and I just instruct all lowercase written together. Simple, done. Then you can consider integrating the name into a business email address too. Now you can set up free ones, or it's good to know that most blog website platforms do offer a coordinating email address to go with that. It might be at a charge though, but it's pretty cool. You could use that name with orders at, information at, or just use a free one like Hotmail or Google, GMX, whatever. Optional but useful, consider the possibility of using a representative visual or graphic logo for your business too. One that could be used for eventual headers, banners, backgrounds. It's a small detail, it seems. It's a nice to have, but for instant recognition, just keep it at the back of your mind. Now, moving on. Once you have your name, the hard part is over. It's decision-making time. Now you need your addresses. Where do you want to go? Well, surveyed, the top 6 preferred online platform choices with our Stamping Up demonstrators are a personal blog, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and our very own Stamping Up's DBWS. But what will you choose to use? It's all going to be in the research, and as much as we would like to, we unfortunately can't do that for you. So we can only suggest that you get some really good recommendations, personal recommendations, by turning to friends, family, and team members for theirs. Ask a ton of questions about their preferences, the ease of use, the pros and the cons, and then go and back those up. There is tons of advice, comparison charts, how-to videos, and step-by-step tutorials out on the internet already. And they're all available in your preferred language too. And then check out what the official sites have to offer on training. The Take a Tour features on most sites will make a great starting point for decision-making and guidance. Now, these are generally really awesome, short overviews, usually in video form, but they're straight from the source. They should know what they're talking about. A word of advice when surfing online for information, try not to get bogged down or distracted. It's so easy to do. Schedule your research time, literally set a timer and keep reminding yourself what that session's goal is. Treat your surf sessions like a business meeting with yourself. You are, after all, setting up an online business. The time taken is an investment. Take notes, figure it out. If you don't understand how something works, try another site, try another review or method. The more knowledge you gain prior to your decision and making that launch, the easier it's all going to be. Then you can mark your territory. Now, you don't have to be active, as I said, on all the different platforms available from the onset, but you should at least secure them. Why secure them? So that no one else gets them, or rather no one else gets your preferred name. And when you do decide that you might want to expand and link up to that platform in the future and use it more regularly, they'll be all sitting there waiting for you to come along. Build up your web presence slowly. Just master one channel at a time. Setting up a blog or a website is most likely going to be the lengthiest and most complicated process, because they have a lot more design choices to make, and we'll get to those details in another webinar. But setting up a simple email address, a Facebook business page, a YouTube account, a Pinterest and Instagram business account, these can all literally be set up and running in minutes. All are initially free of charge. Later, you can decide if you want to pay for those upgrades, boosters, extra services. There's a ton of extra stuff out there. But believe us when we say, for a startup, you shouldn't or you won't need any of the majority of the extras straight away. Like I said, the most likely obstacle that you'll face initially is that someone else will have monopolized your preferred domain name. So be prepared for a little bit of tweaking and some compromising. Right, let's get legal. Social media channels all have their different policies, rules, and regulations to abide by. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to read all the fine print, nor know their policies inside out. Who does, after all? But you will need to check out some fundamentals, especially their policies versus your needs. Now, what does that mean? Well, it entirely depends on the goal that you're aiming for. But as a quick example, if you want to advertise products or open up your own online shop, personal pages and accounts generally don't allow for business activities. A Facebook business page, for an example, is not the same as a Facebook profile. So be careful trying to run business elements, for an example, advertising from your personal pages, because Facebook will have every right to shut that profile down if you're caught. You'll need to do your research about what you want, what you need, and whether the platform you want can also support that wish. So the differences between personal pages and profiles and business accounts is quite big, and you are going to have to research it and explore it. You're going to explore the options that will most suit your needs. You're going to have to get to know the rules. But one of the bigger advantages of using business accounts or business pages is that they not only allow advertising and promotions, but they can generally provide you with some great statistical and analytical data or tools that will be super useful in order to understand your posts, activities, and your audience later on. So research in general and comparisons won't take that long. Most social media and blog platforms are very transparent and explanatory and will guide you through their options and their setup processes step by step. As well as observing the rules, we're going to recommend that you do watch these videos, online tutorials, how-to tutorials beforehand. Just when you think you've had enough of wading through regulations and small print, we're then going to give you hours to go through too. At least I can verify that hours are all in one place and super easy and explanatory. If you have any problem understanding any of our internet website or policies, or need to know why something is how it is, for an example, please feel free to contact Demonstrator Support and they will always be happy to help you. Now, Europe, on the other hand, they've got a couple more rules to abide by. They have strict laws about data protection and data sharing. Now, most of our European demonstrators are savvy to this, but here's a reminder about where to find the basic guidelines on the demonstrator website. So let's take a breather. Quick recap, where are we? We've recommended that you set up your hub or base. So you're going to be choosing a name, choosing an address, picking out some platforms where you think you want to experiment with, getting wise about all their different rules and policies. And in the meantime, you're researching all those setup and how-to tutorials. And now hopefully you're thinking about getting out there and actually setting up some accounts too. Now, when you finally get around to doing that, be prepared to share your personal contact information. You'll need to verify your identity with real names, telephone numbers, working email addresses, etc., probably date of births as well. And you won't get too far if you don't. Personal information is not usually visible to the public, nor is it ever really passed on to third parties. And if it is, it usually has something to do with privacy settings rather than someone hacking into your account. All these social media platforms are, for the most, very secure. But still, for safety, just provide the minimum amount of data that you need to give and omit all the optional requests. And before I forget though, quick note down your login information and passwords and keep that information safe and secure someplace. Because if you go back to a site a few weeks or months from now, or to a platform that you set up ages ago to post a little more content, you might be grateful you did that. Take that from personal experience. Right, safety and etiquette. Safety, internet and cyber safety. This, well, goes out to most of us without saying, but I really don't think we can be reminded enough about it. I personally don't always make the time for it, ho-hum. I know quite a few others who always plan to get around to it soon. So I'm going to say it loud. Follow internet safety protocols. Have good and updated firewalls and internet protection on your own personal computer. Set up and automate regular virus scans and generally stay vigilant. Many social media websites insist on having a bunch of privacy settings. This is something else to research well and to regularly check into and update. Just keep in mind though, to make your business really accessible to the wide unknown, you are going to have to relax some of those settings to open up your sites publicly, eventually. Now, I've got some good advice from Steffi Helmschott in Germany. She says, remember, no one can read, steal, lift, or use anything off the internet that you haven't put there. So you alone get to decide what you want other people to see. That is such great basic information, or a reminder. And last but not least, there's nothing worse than a quick glitch to make you start wishing that you'd done a recent backup, right? Keep backups regular and schedule them even. The next part, I like to call this professionalism. This is the part where basically bunches of strangers are going to be quietly judging you from behind their screens. No pressure, right? So keep content short, clean, and simple. People scan text more than they read them nowadays. So don't bother writing volumes of text. Be clear and get straight to the point of your post fairly quickly. Play it safe, be accurate, always double check facts and details before posting, and get permissions before simply copying and pasting someone else's posts or designs or photos, quotes, any information really from somebody else. And if you can't get someone else's permission directly, the next courteous thing to do would be to publicly recognize your source by stating their name or where you got the information off their website. Remember what I said about trustworthiness and credibility? Well, yeah, it's small things like this that will build up your reputation. This is your business platform. It is a reflection of you, how you run your business. Positivity pays. Now, on a business site, actually anywhere, never air family or personal issues, nor in the history of ever openly criticize others, especially not colleagues or competitors, not even in a closed forum. Remember, everything online is usually there to stay in writing. What you post on the internet will stay there forever. Michelle Last from the UK says, there's a fine balance between being personal and professional. Stay savvy, reliable, and respectable. Your site or page is your reflection. Awesome. Be 100% you and genuine. Really, really like that. Be original. So, brings us to frequency, if we could only answer that million-dollar question. How many times do we hear, how often is one expected to post content on social media in order to achieve fantastic results and fame? Well, researching all the different analytics out there and talking to our demonstrators, hand on heart, honestly, I do believe that the best answer is, you're going to be annoyed with me, but here we go, you decide. Truly, it seems there is only one rule to really abide by that everybody agrees on, is consistency and dependency. It's going to be really hard finding that perfect frequency straight off the bat. There's no way you can. It's going to take a while to adjust and tweak and turn into a habit, and you've got to be patient with yourselves. Setting up a realistic, doable, simple posting schedule can help you decide what to post and when to share it, and then stick with that. Posting strategically and regularly will maximize the organic reach and will let people know that you're around and dependable and consistent for fresh content ideas and business. The tough part is resisting the burning desire to want to hit the ground running like yesteryear. You want amazing blog content. You want to be able to shoot fabulous photos, 2,000 likes per post and 50 million subscribers, where you'll need an assistant to do all the posting for you. We hear you. But on average, it will probably take months, if not years, to build up a smooth running network and reputation. This is just the beginning. We're just starting out. Keep in mind, this is your independent business. It's better to manage small bites well than large quantities sloppily. So to name a cliche, the tortoise did win the race. This is a business venture. It's an investment, and like all good businesses, you need a plan. And the same goes with your social media presence. It needs planning. Why? Well, planning keeps you consistent. It keeps you on track, posting regularly. It keeps your visitors happy. It keeps them returning. Stay on the ball. Stamping Up lets you know about promotions and launches ahead of time, purely so that you can easily plan ahead and announce those events to your customers and viewers on time. So keep updated with our news as well as with your own. Basic content planning will keep you on track about what you post and when. Scheduling a planning session with yourself, say once a week, is manageable, and it keeps the whole process from becoming overwhelming. It also keeps your goals in sight. The best part, planning ahead frees up your time because you're not subconsciously worrying about the what and the wheres and the whens and what should I have been doing in between. Commit to the long haul, especially with a blog. Try not to neglect your social media profiles. We know that you're busy because everybody is busy, but you will need to actively update your channels, your social media channels, with new content regularly, or people will just give up following you because, hey, there'll be nothing new to follow. So develop a reasonable content roadmap that you feel comfortable with and stick to it. And if you're regularly sharing quality content that is valuable to your target audience, then the followers will come and come back. That is a lot of information. It's really enough food for thought today, don't you think? Do you think you might be ready to start this journey for real? Well, we certainly hope you are. And yes, it's going to be time consuming. But in today's age, investing in even a small social media presence will be the right investment for your business. It is the future. We can't run away from it. It is the way forward. In addition, let me remind you, to your classical sales and promotional efforts, so don't go neglecting those as well. There is just Oh, so much support and advice out there on setting up and running these social media channels or blogs. You just can't go astray. So I ask you to take a few minutes to think about embarking on this social media journey and think about all the benefits it will bring. Here's a second cliche. Every journey starts by taking a first step forward. Start small. Start with just one of these guys and then progress and move on to the next one. I'm going to leave you today with a little checklist, a list of things to think about. I'm going to ask you to undertake the following, or at least consider the following. Firstly, go have some fun, brainstorm and choose your web name or identity, your business name, and certainly skip this step if you've got a cool one already. Think about where you might want to set up your pages or accounts. What are your favorites? Pick out and list your favorite platforms. And then set up, in all seriousness, set up and schedule in some web surfing and research time with yourself. Put it in your calendar. Make time. I'm going to say that again. Make time and room for it. This is going to be a business appointment, so you can't cancel it either. I would ask you to go ahead and start to set up your preferred sites, as that would be the next step to tackle. But we will have lots more information coming about some of our favorite and popular platforms in this mini webinar series. And those hopefully will help you make this decision. So I've put the task in brackets for now, but that will be the ultimate goal in the end. So the next part of this webinar series will be about blogging. Using a blog as your hub is the theme of our next webinar, because apparently statistics prove that 60% of businesses with a blog actually acquire more customers. Hey, so that's not one to miss for sure. So we'll catch you then. In the meantime, thank you for your time and watching, and have a great day wherever you may be.